on, let's call it 7 o'clock. It is the meeting for the Jamaica Selectboard for May 14th, 2018. The first order of business is to call for any late additions. Oddly enough, I have 3. I understand there's a town hall water issue, and I think Judy, you're going to speak to that. We need to talk about a committee to monitor the water feasibility project. And then, we have to add Sarah to the check signing procedures. I'll explain that when the time comes.
And I'd like to add on just a brief discussion about the email, because we have to.
Oh yeah, the
email.
email.
We have to figure that out.
I'll just put this in here and then you can remind us what it's about. Okay. So I like the plan. Hi. So the first thing I'd like to do is thank our Vice Chair for handling the things while I was out. Everything went smoothly. I attempted not to come back. It went smoothly. But I did, and so the first order of business is to approve the minutes of his meeting for April 23rd, 2018. I was not here, although I did watch it on TV. Anybody have any deletions, corrections, additions, spelling errors? Nothing? Goodness gracious. See, you do good when I'm not here. Maybe better. I didn't entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the Monday, April 23rd, 2018 Select Board meeting.
Do I have a second? I have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved as presented. Next order of business is to approve the time sheets for town offices, listers, highways, and transfer station, and sign the select board orders, and they will, as tradition has borne out, we'll do that at the end of the session. The next order of business, we have one excess weight permit request from Archie Clark, or A.S. Clark and Sons. He's asking for pretty much unusual. He certainly knows the Jamaica Town roads. I mean, he built several of them. So we have the paperwork, we have the check, we have the insurance. So we need to sign that. This is a little bit different than we've seen in the past. Oh, this is fleet. Okay, so we all need to sign this apparently as a duly authorized agent instead of just your signature, it's like all of ours. For the fleet? Is that something you've seen before?
No.
Okay, well, we can review it, but well, I entertain a motion to approve that or to instruct the road commissioner to approve it. Looks like we all end up approving it.
I don't know why.
I don't either,
Just has
but
an
that's
extra
the form
line.
that's used.
Looks like it just has extra line.
Well, and it does say the select board as the agency, I don't know, but signatures are cheap. Or cost effective, well, you're not even that. Entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the excess weight permit.
Second?
Second.
I have 2 seconds, so second, second, third.
Third.
I think actually Tom stated a little bit faster, but that's because he's closer, so the sound wave got to me sooner. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll have the paperwork signed. The next item is a review and discuss a proposal for the Cota sign. Last couple times, well, last time I was here, there was a question about a sign that would be for Cota. And we have a drawing, and we have a photograph of a similar sign that he has in mind.
And I think he said he photoshopped that.
He photoshopped it?
Yeah, that's the one. They just photoshopped that.
They did a good job, because they even photoshopped in the shadow.
I don't know. That's what he said, though. That's funny. That's what he said.
Very good photoshopping. Unless there's something else there, and just
Yeah.
erase that and put it single in. In any case, Tom brought up a good point that I had not thought of.
Yeah, well, what I'm having problems with is, and what's different from the sign down in Rawsonville and the sign that Karen has, is this potentially is across from people's residences, and it could be running 24/7. So basically, I always now outside of my window have this electric sign that's moving 24/7, which could be an eyesore. And I'd be honest, if it was my home, I would be upset about it. So the question I would have for them is there a way to say turn it off after 10 o'clock at night or some time, and just so it's not running 24/7, and also to look at what the lumens are going to be. I mean, there's lights around the oil tanks there anyway. Maybe it's not even going to be noticeable given the lumens that all those lights put off. I don't know, but those are questions I think we should look at, because I mean, like I say, it's people's property. It's adjacent right to people's property. And I know, like, in an Act 250 permit, they would have to send something out to their neighbors and say, do you have any issues with that, and be hearing and all that. I think in this case, there wouldn't be anything like that. So, all of a sudden, one day, these guys put up this sign outside your window, and now you got these letters and this red and green sign going 24/7. So I just think it's something to think about when we're thinking about residents. And
Sure, and that's a good question. We should do two things. One is find out about whether they're planning on running it 24/7, which I suspect they will. And the other one is the angle of view, because it's pointed right at those homes. And so at what angle which maybe the homes on the end would spot it, but not the ones directly in the middle.
well, I kind of looked as I've driven by. I mean, you would see it. I mean, the way that the trailer park is laid out is, if the trailer park here, the sign's basically here. There's not too many houses on this side.
Yeah.
There's just the first one or two, and then the bigger house, and then on this side, I mean, anyone down there would potentially see it.
There's some more to that.
But again, is it going to be visible with the other ambient light that's there from the security lights that they have? And it may be a moot point, but I think it's something at least to discuss. That's all.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now, the other thing is we had talked previously about changing the ordinance on that.
Yeah.
So the question is, should we include in that ordinance some sort of polling of the adjacent properties?
That would be, if it's adjacent to residential property,
Yeah.
then there should be a hearing or
Some kind of
hearing or an option for a hearing. I mean, that's
Yeah, I think it gets a little cumbersome at that point.
Potentially,
I mean, you don't fence it in enough, and all of a sudden it's like, but I see the point here, and maybe, not that we can guess whatever the issue's gonna be, but there's enough of people that have done sign ordinances out there that we can kind of model one. And then have a recourse to have somebody to say, hey, I'm opposed to that sign. I mean, they can come into a meeting here and bring it up then, rather than going out and doing a survey.
So instead of a mandatory hearing, say, the neighbors must be informed of the plan. I think that's what Act 250 usually is too.
Right.
If they're informed of the plan, if there's an issue,
then
then you have to go
Well, we
through.
could do that pretty easily. We could just send a letter to the adjacent addresses.
Is the one in Rawsonville rotating?
It's just a gasoline sign, so what it is, and that actually, I don't know if that shuts off at night when they're closed. I believe it does. I think that.
Because one of the concerns I have is this setting a precedent that having that kind of rotating,
Like a moving sign.
moving
Yeah.
sign, does that start setting the ability to have that kind of sign in other places within our community? And do we want that
Well,
in our community?
we had talked about if we write in the ordinance to potentially limit the historic village from having
I
any
think we
signs
have
like
to
that.
because of being registered
Perhaps.
as a,
Well, we certainly would. The mood of the community certainly is to protect a historic village.
right.
But this is outside that, and there's a legitimate question about businesses and their ability to grow, function, and pay taxes, as well as the rest of us. So,
And I think it's a good thing for them, and I think it would be good for their business. I mean, it's just trying to get that, trying to get that balance of, okay, where they can still, advertise like they need to advertise and do so without interfering with other people.
And I don't recall, had they talked about it being a ticker tape, or was it just something that they could actually change?
I think it's a ticker tape. I think it was a ticker, so they couldn't advertise different special.
Yeah, I mean, if it just changes as opposed to scrolling, because I think you brought up too, even, that it's distracting as you're driving by and things go, and it's like,
That's
I know.
what's next?
Brattleboro
Oh, I think
had a
we're-
hard time with the the car company, I forget what the name
Oh,
was. Yeah, because
Auto
they
gas,
had
right.
that kind of rolling sign and they
Yeah.
made it stationary, so it was red, but it wasn't rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Cota down there has a sign too, actually, on there.
Like this.
No, it's brighter. It's right up Putney Road and then, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
the gas station.
Yeah.
used to be
No, but they
Shell's.
have one similar.
It's
Rich.
similar, yeah.
Can you, the camera pick this up?
Mhm.
So anyone looking at the meeting can see what we're talking about.
Mhm.
You know, as a customer of Cota and a resident, I don't think it's a distraction. I think trying to read the gas price in the snowbank, that's what put me off the road.
It's true.
So, you know, there's a benefit to the public too,
Mhm.
that, you know, I don't know if anyone belongs to the Key Club, we can buy gasoline
Yeah,
down there anytime, day or night.
unless you lose your key.
True.
which I do.
Don't do it. We advise against losing. Well, okay, so maybe the action we should take right now is to put together a letter to the adjacent property owners.
What about the order?
What about the ordinance?
I think we need to push forward more
Well-
quickly and actively with getting an ordinance, because if we keep making these exceptions,
Right.
whether we have the power to or not, we then get ourselves into a pickle to say, we were okay with that exception, but not okay with this exception, and why?
Yeah.
We need to have a parameter.
I agree, I think that the ordinance is really a necessity, right?
And I don't want to hold them up, I mean, so it's a balancing act.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how long can we put these guys off? So I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
do we want to put together a committee to work on an ordinance?
Yes,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I
that's
think so,
important.
yes. And it
Yes.
can be a combination of a few of us and the planning commission and maybe one or two, I don't know how big, but I mean, it doesn't have to be just all us.
So, okay, so then let's do that. Let's put together a motion to create a small committee for the purpose of revising the sign ordinance.
I move that, what you
Second.
just said.
Second.
Did you get that, Sarah? Did that make sense? Check me if I don't make sense, let me know. I've been out for a while. Further discussion,
My
please.
discussion on this, what do they do? What are they pushing for?
Which they-
Cota, I mean, they obviously sent this in, but are they calling and being like, hey, when are you guys, I mean.
I haven't heard, I just got back.
So, I mean, what is their urgency? You know, they had wanted it before next winter.
If it's snow.
Yeah, before it snows, we're.
He brought in
we're
the
down to
paperwork
yeah.
and that was all I've
That's
heard from
what,
all
he
these.
hasn't said anything else, Ron? Because that's what we'd asked him for.
Yeah.
So at least, you know, he's not.
Just maybe contact them and say, hey, we have to rewrite the ordinance, it's gonna be a while, you know,
That would be a good.
does this fit within your time frame?
That would be a good thing for the chair of the committee to do.
Yes, right, I'm just saying.
Does the attorney have to be involved in that, or do we put that to him after?
Let's rewrite the
Maybe
ordinance
make-
and let him review it.
Present a
Yeah.
proposed policy or.
Yeah, if we send him a blank slate, then it gets all kinds of stuff and all kinds of expense. It's easier for him to just fix what we've already done.
Right.
So I think that would be the way to do it.
So an attorney will be involved then?
Eventually, because our ordinances and stuff should be jumped on by him to make sure we haven't done anything really stupid. Not that we would, of course, but could happen. All right, so we have a motion, all in. Yeah, I said small, okay. Any further discussion? Like the number of people, or who should be involved? One member from the planning commission,
I would suggest that.
2 members from the select board?
Or
Does that make
one,
sense?
I mean, one or two, I mean, it should be an odd number of people, and it
Should
should
be
be, it shouldn't be more than 3 or 5, I would say. I mean,
I would
it
say
gets
three.
unrealistic
I
at
think
some
three
point.
would be,
3 people, yeah.
3 would be adequate, okay, so, 3 people would be the definition of small, which we already put in there. And then we can go ahead and pass it, and then we can start filling it.
Are we still in discussion, or?
We're still in discussion, yeah.
I think the select board has the authority to come up with an ordinance and then run it by an attorney. You know, if we want from outside the blue sign on this end of the town and outside from Rossendale,
Yeah.
no signs like that, I think we could figure all that out.
And it
And
does
then
sound-
just get Paul, look it over.
Yeah.
That's just, so I'd be against it, but whatever you want to do.
You'd
Be against the
ordinance or
committee?
against
Be against the committee, yeah.
I think
But that's
it
just
helps
me.
us,
Yeah.
You guys can,
Well, I'm thinking of the committee because it's gonna take some legwork to make sure
it
that,
helps us get some extra
Yeah.
work done, basically.
yeah, I think that rather than take up the select board meeting time.
no, I know that, but I don't.
One of the things you want to avoid is having such a large committee.
Well,
Yeah.
And
Just another
and it
committee.
sounds like it's getting up to be like 7 people.
I think three
No.
is good,
I think we have a dated ordinance
Well,
that needs to
2
be
and-
updated.
clearly.
2 and 3, however that's
Shouldn't
going
be
to
that hard.
And I think 3 total.
One from where?
So that's from the planning commission.
Oh, one from planning.
One planning commission, 2 select.
Oh, okay. What I was hearing were,
Well, we're still discussing,
okay.
but we said
Yeah,
small.
well, just watch the size.
Yeah. I think right now, it sounds like the general consensus is 2 for the select board, 1 from the planning commission.
I would go with
And
that.
then I can get in touch with Rebecca, she's the chair of the planning commission, and they can decide next Monday who's going to be sitting on that meeting. Does that make sense? All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of a small committee to be formed to rewrite the sign
Is this an
ordinance?
amendment?
Hmm?
Is this an amendment to mine?
No, this is just the practicality of putting that amendment in. We're doing the amendment, which is going to start the committee. This is just a discussion to
Okay.
implement it.
Okay, because I was wondering how we were going to vote.
We're voting to start a small committee.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Alright,
Any opposed?
I'm opposed.
So I've got 3 to 1, it passes, and I will tomorrow contact Rebecca.
and I will volunteer to be on the committee.
Okay?
I will also volunteer for you.
Okay?
So you're the one guy from the, oh no, you're not on the planning commission anymore.
No. But we had it done, we just never had enough kick in the butt to get it done. The planning commission had to look at it before realizing it was that big. Basically had looked at surrounding towns and what their policies were, and that was about how far we got.
All right, I will, if you see Rebecca, that gets alert, I'm gonna try and get hold of her tomorrow. Okay, contact Rebecca regarding assignment to the sign committee, I'll do that tomorrow. Excellent, good. And then we have, right now it's the 2 of you, right? With one of you, you guys discuss it, or wait until you get the 3rd person, get in touch with Cota, tell them the timeframe? Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah, when we get together, we can determine the time frame.
All right, excellent. Next item. We have 2 cemetery bids, cemetery maintenance bids. 2 open. One arrived this afternoon. I'll open them and Andy can read them.
Does this get bid out every year?
Well, we've had some difficulties because the previous bid expired. You know, he's been doing it for a number of years, and so he said he can't do it for that anymore. And so I said, well, I did a bid. So now we have 2.
I'm not sure how to
Is that
read this.
I'm not sure how to read this either.
This one,
I think it breaks it down by the number of times they'll be mowing, so, or they'll,
this says
so this.
spring, fall.
So they do a spring cleanup, a fall cleanup, and then the amount for each time they mow.
Yeah,
That's
For
this
each
one
of the
set.
cemeteries, each of the 6 cemeteries for the town.
gotcha. And that may be the way the RFP was written,
Right.
because I see that sounds like what you've got in here too.
Consistent with that, yeah.
And that doesn't include that one, right?
Which one?
The big one. That's not ours.
Also, we should make a solid.
The Jamaica, the cemetery in the village.
Oh, yeah, I don't think that belongs to us.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Is
it.
that correct? That
It
belongs to
does
the
not.
church?
I
It's
think,
not part of this.
Steve Clark is like the president of that
Oh,
It's like, I think it's probably.
organization.
okay.
We'll make them all back.
So we have the right one.
This makes sense, that makes sense to me.
All right, let's,
Once that, we own is the one that's close in, the area,
What's better than
let's compare these numbers here.
Yeah.
by Turkey Mountain Road and that kind of thing.
Okay. So he broke it down for total, he gave a number of times he would.
Yeah, he said mowed 6 times, he didn't say.
Yeah, East Jamaica, Rosenville.
I don't have any idea how many times
Sold.
that place needs to be mowed a year.
It doesn't even list the one in the center of town.
So, we got the Rossingville, East Jamaica, South Hill, South Wyndham, Pikes Falls, West Jamaica's got all those, right? Okay, clean up, 250,
200, 150.
and this is 150 times 6. And then for East Jamaica, 300, 250, those are the cleanups. Per mow, 125,
75.
6. Hang on a second. I was gonna say,
What's the numbers all around?
I can add, I'll add these, I'm gonna assume 6 mows.
yeah, let's go with 6 just to make them easier to keep track of.
I mean, that one was total at the bottom.
Yeah, this is from, which one is this? This is from D&K. Yeah, D&K gives the total.
I didn't see the total.
Let me read this. This is the RFP. Oh, it says mowed 6 times, May to October.
So,
Oh, okay.
So we can assume that, who's that one from?
this is from
Ben
Ben Low.
Low. So we'll assume 6 at the same time, because that's what it said. The RFP is asking for 6, Southfield 3 times.
Okay, so let's
That's
get,
correct.
okay, hold on, let me get apples to apples. So
Sure.
Rossingville is 6.
They're all, the RFP asks for 6 for Rossingville, 6 for East Jamaica, and then 3 each for South Hill, Wyndham, South Wyndham, Pikes Falls. So they're all, he just didn't put it in there, he did. Not a job.
6, 6, and 233.
Correct. Yep,
Okay.
that'll make it
So
one.
this is. So, 200 times. 400 is 1700. Yeah.
This is the part of the program, for those of you at home.
I'm under a lot of pressure here, okay?
That's true.
Okay. 450. Okay, so,
Jim total?
for all of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what my first guess was.
Sorry. 850 plus 950 plus 850 plus.
There is a total for this one?
Yeah.
This is everything?
I'm assuming so, I haven't added it up.
So 5625 is what I show.
Yeah, that's fine.
To tie.
So Ben, pretty close, Ben Low is at 56.25, and D&K is at 56.20.
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
That's pretty close. That's almost a coin flip,
But not quite.
but not quite.
That's what happens.
I think my.
Just for laughs, you check his math, I'll check his math, just to be really
Did he
safe.
send you out?
Yes.
I had it.
Got this fancy new phone. It's kind of good for something.
So these were, that's what they were missing, these are all, oh, those,
900.
66336.
1400.
So,
Uh,
100.
Times 6. That's 250 plus.
Yeah.
1300. That's
Yep.
right. 200, 400. Times 3. 420. 820. That's right. 250, 500, 1100, that's right. 300, 400, 500, 300, 400, 500.
You want to do the subs, I think they're both.
Just be sure. Plus 500, plus 1100, plus 5620.
And I honestly don't know what we paid in the past. I just don't recall.
Do we know anything about the other person who was?
Ben, oh, Ben Long?
Oh, Ben.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
These are, no, both these guys are sons of Jamaica. They both cover lots and lots of things around Jamaica. They're both good guys.
Yes.
Same?
Is he down in Townsend?
Same.
Same.
Yeah.
And so the policy of, the select board, you know, the law is better?
Well, in general, unless we have reasons to go otherwise, and as I've already sort of editorialized, both of these guys are good guys. We've got a long history of them good guys and working hard for Jamaica.
That's what'll make it easier than the $5.
$5. $5.
Yeah.
All right, the D&K Property Maintenance LLC underbid Mr. Lowe by $5.
Unbelievable.
Do I have a motion?
Yes, I move we accept D&K's bid to do the, just discussed the cemetery
Okay.
cleanup.
Clean up and make.
Yeah, clean up and maintenance. D&K, that's what I said, 15.
Cleanup and maintenance, Madam Clerk.
And then Lowe was, what did I say, 5625?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay, I think that pretty much answers that question.
I'll second the motion.
We have a second, do we have any further discussion? Thank you for both of you, I mean, these guys are good guys across the board. All in favor of accepting the bid from D&K?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You did further discussion already? Good. All in favor say aye, you did that part, any opposed, none.
Yeah.
It's carried, it will be D&K. There you go. Thank you, everybody. Which one is that? Okay. It's the back. All right, we will let them know tomorrow.
And the grass is growing, you can hear it.
You can hear the grass.
As we say, you know, to cover it, I grow out a little front yard and get my mower done.
All right, next order of business.
You want to talk about the email real quick?
Yeah, I've got to slide that in after public concerns. We have a public, did you want to bring anything up, Joel? Or to Joel?
No.
Do you have, okay.
Concerns?
So then let's jump into the late additions. Time out. I lost track of two things I wanted to add. Thing number one is, we have, the way the banking works here is that you've got to have signatures registered with the bank in order to sign checks. So when Terry was out, I was signing the checks. If Terry's out and I'm out at the same time, nobody signs checks, nobody gets paid. So what we want to do is we want to add Sarah. So there will be 3 signatories. And so there's a whole bunch of paperwork that needs to be accomplished that I will sign pending the instruction by the select board to do so. Adding Sarah to the People's United Bank's list of who can sign our checks. I would entertain a motion to that effect.
I so moved that we add Sarah to our check register for signing.
Have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion?
Is that the motion you need to do that?
Yeah.
I just asked that she read that back.
Oh, okay.
I didn't quite.
Can you read the motion back?
Judy made a motion to add Sarah to the check signing. That's all I got.
Is that enough? Did you write?
Yeah.
What did they ask for? Just so.
Well, there's a sequence of paper, there's a whole bunch of things that the bank requires to be done, and I need to sign it. So you can either add her to it, which would, that statement that encompasses all the stuff I have to do.
It makes sense, I
Yeah.
didn't know whether it needed to be a little deeper.
No, most of
those
the,
only get signed once the pay orders are signed anyway. right?
she'll be
That's
signing
the
in
thing.
absence in the absence of,
Terry.
Terry.
Right.
Yeah.
So the checks don't get cut even until we sign off on them, so that's.
Oh, yeah, those are different, yeah.
I mean, this is a banking formality. as
Exactly.
opposed to Our procedure.
Precisely. This is just so there's a signature on the check that resonates with People's United.
Sure.
Okay? All in favor?
Actually, I said check register, so.
Check register.
It's not the
Right.
register, it's the, register is where you log in your checks.
Yeah,
So it wouldn't be the check register, it would be
Check
Signature.
the business signature card.
To add her as a check signatory.
Yeah, business,
Whatever the bank is asking for is what I would like in the motion, but
yeah, business signature card, I sign it to respective initials. There's a whole bunch of things that need to be done. The construct is, we're gonna add Sarah to the People's Bank's signature sequence, so they'll recognize the checks that people get paid. So I think what we've said gets the job done. How it's done, we'll work out the details tomorrow, I just have to sign those. Terry's already got paperwork.
Where we say, the select board authorizes Paul to take the necessary steps to add Sarah to the town's
Sure.
signatory card.
That's a better one.
there's a motion and a
You mean
second.
you
on
don't
it.
Oh, right, we got it.
No, there's already one and a second on the table.
That's right, we've already got a second on the table.
Right.
Do you wanna remove that one? Vote on it, if it doesn't pass, start a new one?
I think we're
I
okay.
have to.
favor.
All in favor of the first motion, which basically added Sarah's name to the business signature card, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
One opposed. So I have, did I get a third aye? We have 3 ayes and opposed, so it will pass, and tomorrow I will do the necessary paperwork to get that done. Okay. You don't do this very often, so it's always entertaining to see how you do
Not that I
it.
don't want you on the signature card.
Okay. Then we had, the next item, Judy's the first one on the late addition to the agenda, then I have a letter I received from Rebecca, so go
Okay.
first.
Basically, 2 things are happening at the town hall. One is yesterday at the program, you discovered that there was no water in the bathroom just before the whole performance began. So we got permission to use the church across the street. However, in trying to find out exactly what the issue is, it seems that it tends to be more electrical rather than a lack of water, since that's a brand new well that's up top there. So I have called Chris Clark, who does a lot of our electricity, and I left a message on the machine and have not heard back from him, but he usually follows up and asks him to give us a call when that's completed. So that's the number one. It's going to be taken care of. The problem that we're dealing with is that there's a performance Thursday night. And I guess if that is not available, I will request from the church board on Wednesday if we can use the church again. So,
Can I inject something?
Sure.
Through that piece of okay, the reason we're going with Chris Clark without going up to bids and stuff is because he's done a lot of the electric work
Yes.
on the building already. So he
Right.
knows the building and he knows,
that's important.
so it becomes not quite a sole source, but close enough.
Right. The second thing is, come June, we have a visitation from the Preservation Society concerning the repairs and the upkeep of the church. We have 3 things,
Of the church?
not church, sorry,
Of the hall.
of the
Right.
town hall. We have 3 things that we were told last year that need to be done. One was taking some stuff out of the gutters, and I think that has been done. The second is the roofing issue. And I was at the performance yesterday afternoon and noticed that if you look up at the ceiling interior-wise, you see a lot of paint chips coming down. My hunch is, and maybe you guys are better at this than I am, that we do have some leakage. That was the question that was being asked. So that's one of the things we have to do. The third thing that came up on their report last year was the back wall the outside wall needed to be painted. However, a major one has come up since then, and that is the sill facing the church on the left side toward the back. That it's rotted and needs to really be placed. My sense is that needs to be priority before, even though the ceiling is definitely second priority. I think the back wall is kind of at the end, the bottom of the priority list. So I requested Terry to write out an RFP so that we can begin that process. One of the things is that we are rated by the Preservation Society, and we have what they call an A1. We're top of the line as far as the way we manage and upkeep the building. And I would hate to see us lose that particular identification. So I'm hoping that the RFP will go out to show them that we are really trying to keep up the building and maintain that rating. And I do have $20,000 in the budget for that upkeep. So that's where that stands. So we're in the process of doing things. But as I said, there are other things that we have to be looking at too. Have you guys seen the ceiling of
I've seen the peeling paint. Has anyone gone above the ceiling and actually seen water damage?
I have not done that.
I mean, I'd be interested in getting a flashlight and looking, just to see. I mean, it would be obvious if we had seepage and the wood would be stained.
According to their review of our roof, that it does need it, so that's what's going on.
Is their meeting in June going to be you said they're coming down here to meet or what?
Yeah.
Is that to reassess that it's
Yes,
still
every year.
at the level of need that it was originally?
Right.
Because there's a lot of things that could have changed. I mean, for example, the back wall miraculously got painted. I mean, when you bring it up and say it's painted, it's got paint on it. So
It does. I've looked at it too. I disagree with their assessment. I've seen that back wall, because when we looked,
the sills I would totally agree with. I see the sills.
About that, Andy?
The back wall?
Yeah.
Didn't I look at it and tell you what I thought? it might
Yeah.
entail
Can you
for-
remember what you told me?
It was,
I was just more curious if they're gonna reassess.
Right.
Maybe a few of us can be there and kind of walk through it at the same time.
Yeah, she walks me through it,
Yeah,
so I do know.
and maybe it shifts our priority a little bit.
do they tell you what the priority should be?
No,
Oh,
that
okay,
those were the three things
alright.
that we had to accomplish, but no timeline. It's just that we need to be working on it. And that's why I feel that we need to get that RFP out
Was the sill,
before June,
I
huh?
know you probably just said it, but was the sill one of the things?
No, it was
Oh.
not. It actually, when the water was being put in, what had happened, there was a pipeline that goes from the well and it goes along the left-hand side. And I think Chris was one of them Chris Clark, who was telling us that it really is in very, very bad shape. So I think for the structure of the building, that probably takes priority.
I'm just curious too, if we're putting out the RFP, I mean, I see the need to do that, but what are we asking for? I mean, if we don't quite know what our priority is, I mean, they're
I
gonna.
think Terry has she come to you about that?
Not yet, I'm just off the boat.
Okay, She said today, when I was talking with her, that she was going to ask you
Fine with that.
to
Well,
help
I'm
with
just
that.
wondering if we should have this walkthrough first before we send out an RFP. We don't even know what we're asking people to quote.
That's not a
Yeah,
bad
we can
idea. This actually dovetails with something you and I talked about earlier today. Do you want to address that?
Well, I mean, when I don't know, a few weeks ago, a month ago, I just kind of said, you know, what's partly because of the budget of money for the town hall, but then also saying, okay, what are some of the other maintenance issues? And I know Pat's been involved with the old schoolhouse and, you know, just looking ahead, the roof's falling in, that's obviously a priority, but just kind of set some level of priorities for each building. I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna spend hours and hours doing a full maintenance plan, but just to kind of say, hey, this needs some work, and that building's already got a lot of attention on it, but then there's the bank building, and there's the, every other thing going on.
The question, and I know you put a lot of time and energy in that thing, and sometimes I feel like we're asking a lot of you, but this may be a point, at this point, for us to have, we talk about a facilities manager, somebody who's assigned to review all the facilities at once and to coordinate that kind of stuff, because we've done a lot of work, sort of, you know, rises to me, and I say, do this roof here, do that roof over there, and I don't feel like I'm qualified to do that, but I would like to have somebody who could monitor this, because I know you put a lot of time in over there. I know Pat put a lot of time in the Rossingville Schoolhouse, and there's things that come up, and it's like, we're just doing ad hoc. I'm wondering if it would make sense for us to have someone designated for the town structures as a facilities manager, and I'm not sure how best to manage that, but I feel like you've been tasked with well, and all the other stuff that's going on, and I don't know how you feel about that, but I'm wondering if there's something we want to do to make it easier to coordinate all these expenses and all the energy. So what's your thoughts on that?
And I mean, I guess my initial thing was, I'm not the expert on it either, I was just kind of volunteering to kind of pull it together a little bit, and just maybe just quantify some of the stuff, and just so like you said, it's not only the ones boiling to the top that we're kind of addressing, it's like, maybe there's some underlying things.
Yeah.
Are you talking specifically?
No, I'm
town
talking in general.
hall?
No, not the town hall, in general, everything, and maybe some of the buildings, I mean, fine, this one just
But we just
doesn't need anything for a year or whatever,
But
but.
it's also someone looking at, you know, preventative maintenance and projecting that, okay, you know, the roofs, we put a 30-year roof on that,
5 more
you know,
years.
we get 5 more years left on our roof, we should start looking at those things rather than always, you know, putting fires out. You actually have planning and you're staying ahead of the curve
I think what we discussed was that maintenance is cheaper than repair.
completely, always, yeah.
And I'm not the expert, maybe, I mean, that's why I was asking too about the preservation, I mean, they're looking at the historic structures, I mean, and maybe then we get to the point where we say we hire somebody to do a full walkthrough, and who is a, you know, structural
Like
engineer.
a building inspector, right?
Yeah.
It's almost a home inspector, right?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. And I think the town halls has a little bit more of an actionable plan than a lot of the other buildings do, because there's the budget and there's some recognized needs, so I mean, just kind of taking what's been done for that building already and applying it to other buildings, and when it comes time to put together a budget, we know, you know, ahead of time.
I think that's a good idea.
We already have money in the budget to repair,
Is that for just the town hall, or is that? for all?
just the town hall.
Well, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
We have
I mean,
$20,000 that was put in, because I brought it up
That's
when we
right,
were
yeah.
working on budget in December.
So that's good to have that. I'm just thinking, when we put the roof, something's gotta be done, and I've got notes on it someplace. On the roof of the bank building.
Yeah.
We took care of the air conditioning thing, but
How is that, does the historical society committee, are they the ones that have suggested the repairs and maintenance on that building that I've been involved in? Or how did that all come about? I think each committee has of their building.
yeah, they don't, well, they're not funding it. You and I, this goes back months ago when we were talking about the roof. There was something that needed to be repaired right away, and they looked at the other side saying that's coming up next. Remember, we had some tiles replaced on one side.
On that building or this one?
No, I'm talking about the bank building, because there was some leaking.
Oh.
Again, we're patching up. We're doing patch-up repair. And when that was being done, the guy's name was, good band, Asa, yeah. And so we're doing the review, and he said, yeah, we can, because we patched the damage, the leaking part. And then he walked around the building and said, well, this is what's coming up. And so that sort of has to be, but, and I may have his estimate upstairs, but that's sort of what we're talking about. We're trying to talk about getting ahead of it.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, fixing the sills, that's more than a $20,000 project.
Cause you gotta jack the building up.
Yeah,
Set it up,
right.
Put it in.
I know.
Dude.
So, I mean, but just,
And you gotta do it right up, correct it.
I mean, that's just an example to say, let's be proactive to say that we've got some of these big things coming down the road, or address them before they get too far, and having somebody do walk through with a building inspector or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm not questioning the sill, the issues with the sill. I think we should get someone to come and look at it. I mean, I trust Chris and such, but he's an electrician, he's not a builder necessarily, to have someone come in and say, wow, yeah, this is really serious, or, oh, you've got 5 years left, or, you know, as long as no one's tread lightly and, you know, so to speak. But I think we should get a professional in to look at it in order to really truly make a true assessment.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why we want an RFP going out, because obviously
Yeah,
somebody's
someone would
gonna
have
have
to
to
come
look
in,
at it
yeah.
to tell us what we need.
And that would be what we put in the RFP,
Yeah,
specifically to assess it,
right.
RFP for assessment, then we can write the RFP for fixing later.
Oh, okay, I guess I misunderstood. I was
Well,
thinking
but
we were
this is
already
coming
gonna
out
do
now.
an RFP to fix the sills or something. but-
First, I like your ideas. First, we get somebody in there to give it a good thorough inspection, so that we're not surprised by the historical society.
Is this person that's coming from the historical society, are they qualified inspectors, so to speak? Or
No.
are they, you know,
But that's why you can see the roof, you know,
Yeah.
it's almost visual
right,
rather than structural. So that's why we need somebody.
So maybe the first order of business to Terry from us would be to RFP for a thorough professional inspection. Sort of what you're asking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And maybe that's where that 20K ought to go, to make sure we get it done right. Because over the years, we've patched a lot of stuff in that building. And that building is very important for this town.
Well, I spent quite a bit of money when it was all repainted and redone.
There's a big
That
investment.
was more than just patching.
Yeah, that was
It's a renovation.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not talking about that part, I'm talking about.
It's not like we haven't done anything to any of the buildings.
Yeah, we've done a lot on that building.
I just
I
think,
mean, to have someone on like a retainer to keep an eye on there, have someone come in and say, I'll look at all your buildings for $10,000, you need $100,000 for the sill, you need, you know, I think you should just, you know, what you were saying, to have someone look at that sill, maybe it's not as bad as it
Right.
looks from the outside.
so maybe write the RFP for that specific structure alone.
If you can get someone to look at it this time of year.
Oh,
Yeah, it's tough time.
well, we'll know if it's.
I just think, yeah, I think we need the knowledge, we need someone to say for certain that this is a major problem, and if it's not this year or the next year, you're gonna have to replace that, or you potentially collapse.
Sure.
Or some structural, you know, something more
You know,
serious.
those things, I mean, not to go on and on about it, but that could have been fine a year ago, and then just headed south from condensation from
Yeah,
the
what,
Yeah.
pipe inside or sweating,
Yeah.
you
It
know,
was-
with the new well, who knows?
how it got observed was in the process of the pipe running
Right.
from the well up top. And somebody crawled through that area, because it's all crawl space under there. There's no basement in that part.
I've been down
You've been in the
there.
So
basement.
then-
Walking in the
Have you been
cross-
on the dirt,
Yeah, I've been under there. Yeah.
on
So-
the left-hand side?
Can we have then a motion to ask our treasurer to produce an RFP specifically for assessing the structural integrity of the town hall?
Sure.
I mean,
Because there could be other
basically,
things besides that.
Yeah.
basically, do you just want to do that? Do we have to do that officially, or, because I've already asked her.
Well, you asked her for an RFP, but it was to fix something. This is an RFP, we're gonna,
Right.
if we do this, be an RFP to examine the building, find out what we need to fix.
I think that makes sense, we've got $20,000 that everybody's agreed to spend, and we wanna make sure we're spending on the right thing. I mean, we can
Yeah.
spend $20,000 just on, you know, repainting the whole thing, and we find out, oh geez, that's not really what was needed.
Gotcha. So, motion to anybody?
I'll move that. that we send out an RFP on exploring the structural,
Integrity.
structural integrity of the town hall.
I'll second.
Have a second? Does that make sense, Sarah? Watching your hand right
I don't
here.
even know what an RFP is, okay?
Okay. What?
I said, I don't even know what an RFP is.
That's okay, she will. Request
Request
for
for proposal.
Yes.
So,
But did you get the wording for the integrity of the building? We all set? Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed, motion carries. So tomorrow we will talk to Terry about an RFP. For the inspection of the integral, what did I say?
Integrity.
Integrity. Yeah, good thing somebody's paying attention. Okay, now the other half of this conversation, that's the motion, we're good for that. Before we got to this point, we were discussing how best to manage all of our facilities together. A group, a committee, a single member, a couple of people, how best do we want to manage that?
For the Historical Society,
For-
there's
no.
I know, but for instance, there's a committee already. And they're in the building, involved with it, and shouldn't they be?
It's a town hall committee that you're in charge of, right?
Yeah, I'm in charge of the
No,
town
but I'm just
hall.
saying, for all the buildings,
Oh, we don't
there's
have
already,
that
I know, but there's already a committee, the Historical Society.
for the bank.
Yeah,
Well, the Historical Society isn't a committee tasked with maintaining the facility.
but they know what's going on with it. is what I'm
Perhaps,
getting at.
but they're historians, they're not building people,
I know, if you wanna,
historical building.
Well, and Judy, we had set up with Pat and I, if you remember it was the end of last summer, I believe, that we were on the town hall committee. Before I was on select board, I was on the town hall committee to manage that building. And we couldn't really matter anything. We
Do you
met once.
differentiate between managing the use of the building versus the structure?
It was the structure, that was based on the structure.
Structure and use.
Structure. Well, the Arts
Arts
Council, which is a separate entity of the town, is
That's the Arts
a
Council.
totally different piece. We use the town hall,
Gotcha.
but we're not, anyone else can use the town hall too. It's not.
So you guys are satisfied there is a committee that will track the town hall? We need to find out if the historical committee is willing to track the structure. Because every time something goes wrong, if Paul belongs to the town,
and I guess where my thinking kind of came from, I'll be flat open with some frustrations, and part of it was just being in the town hall, and I'm in there last fall or whenever it was when the heat first kicked on, and I know there's a maintenance program to keep the boiler going, but the cobwebs were so thick in the air ducts that there was dirt sitting on top of them because even a stone couldn't fall through, and the thing's forcing air up there. And I'm saying this very open, not hiding anything, that it's like, that should have been paid attention to, and I'm not, there's nobody to blame, so to speak, because there's nobody tasked with it. And so the basics were all looked at, the sidewalks were plowed, and the water was running, the fuel was filled, but where is some of this next level? And I know even in this building, I mean, everybody, there's somebody that comes around and cleans, and I'm not saying hire a janitor for everywhere, but just that global concept of at a lower level than just making sure the roof doesn't leak.
is that something that you're?
And the Arts Council does clean after our events, and I've gone in and mopped in the winter, to make sure that the floors were more
Yeah,
clean,
and
and
I know
sweep,
those
and we do
guys-
bathrooms and those types of things. But as far as
Clean the windows. even,
we've,
but,
Pat has cleaned the windows, but as far as maintenance of like cleaning out air
No.
ducts and things,
We really have not done that.
Yeah,
It's basically what the preservation
right,
lady
right,
comes
yeah.
and tells us what
Yeah,
to
and
do.
I'm just using that as an example, I'm
Right.
not using that to point fingers,
And
because
I'm-
it probably happens in every single building. I mean, if somebody,
And I'll be honest, that floor in there probably needs a good waxing too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's starting to show some wear and tear on it from, the sand and everything from the town. It gets in there in the winter and town meeting, a lot of people with boots and such. And
Sure.
so we've cleaned it, we've mopped it, but it really needs,
and every building
that's
has
a maintenance
their set
thing
of
too,
experts.
which, and again, it's the highest priority. But from a visual standpoint, people come in and say, wow, look at the hall, but if the floor's all dinged up and dull and dirty, then
Sure.
it takes away from the
So
ambiance.
this goes back to the question about whether we need a sole source to maintain an oversight of these kinds of daily maintenance issues or weekly or monthly maintenance issues, as opposed to multiple committees who have other tasks besides, dusting grates. I put that out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not proposing any solutions or anything, I just kind of bring it up that, and maybe every building's got its own set of inhabitants and experts and the historical society and the arts council and the office staff here, and everybody just says, be the eyes and ears, I mean, just to kind
But
of
the
say.
question is, so I bring up today, so let's say I bring up as part of the Arts Council, not as a selectman, that I think that the floor needs redone.
Right.
Okay, I bring it up before the select board, and then, do we make a decision, okay, we do that, does it go before the committee? Who makes that decision, who funds that? Because you're gonna have to pay someone to do that. Yeah, or is it even a priority, right? I mean, is the roof and the sill more of a priority? Of course, we don't want the building to collapse. But again, it gets to, is the furnace maintained? Is the water system maintained? Maybe the water system wasn't maintained for a year, after they put that in, and so now it doesn't work. Those are the types of things where, now again, we're repairing it rather than, and again, we put a new system, it shouldn't have failed in a year and a half, but one would argue.
I think we're also talking money
We're talking money, yeah.
when you start to do that. Because I was just given $20,000 to do what, as you say, may well be beyond that amount. So where does the money come to maintain the floor? Or where does the money come to putty part of the windows or whatever?
Don't we
So
budget,
how
can we
do we do
budget
that?
things like that?
We can.
When we budget, when we're aware of it, and we come into the next board,
Yep.
the next fiscal year, the floor needs to be redone.
Yeah,
That's gonna be
it's-
$5,000 or whatever.
Right,
Is there
that's
capital?
basically how I did the 20,000 that I got.
Yep.
I think that's
I
where it
brought
should
it
go,
in
yeah.
when it was time to do the budget. But what I'm hearing is that maybe we need, I guess, a slush fund of some sort where those kinds of things come up and,
I was thinking more in the sense that it's not January 1st that we're all sitting around the table to decide what's the maintenance building for this building, that here's what we need to do, and it's a priority list, and we say, okay, this building gets $5,000, this one gets 10, and then we,
So maybe on that.
but I don't know, maybe it works that way already, but I don't see that it does.
If maybe what you're suggesting can be dovetailed with what you guys are saying is, if each of the committees that utilize these facilities, including the Historical Society, would produce we need to have list to present to the select board, then we would have that going into the budget.
I could speak for the Arts Council that I'm fairly knowledgeable of the town hall because I put on a lot of shows. I know Pat's extremely knowledgeable as well, who's the president of the organization. And I can speak that I would be more than willing to look, at least from that types of things like, we need to do the floor, we need to clean the vents out and those types of things. I mean, again, I'm not a structural expert, so I'm not gonna say, hey, we need a new sill and we need a new roof, but from like the lower end maintenance types of things, I think we could definitely speak to that, because we're doing, a show a month or whatnot,
Sure.
and we see it. I mean, I see the dirt, and I was in there sweeping out the front vestibule in there, because it had gotten a lot of sand.
we
Again.
used to have a janitor that
We did for a while.
for the town hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm kind of seeing it somewhere in between sweeping and doing the roof, it's all this.
Yeah, yeah.
It's that
in
pseudo maintenance,
between.
making sure that, okay, the furnace is it's up to date.
Yeah.
So when we flip the switch in November, it kicks on.
Mm-hmm.
That someone has called Cota and Cota, or whoever, Barrows, or whoever it is, and making sure that they're coming out to do maintenance on that,
And right now, that's falling on Terry. Because if something needs, for example, something that's covered under the contract of Cota, for example, or wherever our oil is at the time, then we are making a call from the office to come and do that. We, speaking for the people who live here in the building, don't always know what's going on out there. So we need to get feedback from you guys to say, if you give us a list, here's what we need to have. Then as we're able to fund it or budget for it, we can get some of that stuff done, rather than being completely overlooked in the day-to-day tasks that Sarah and Terry have.
And I think giving an outlet to like the Arts Council, I think that's part of it. I know I've had conversations with Pat, like, you know, well, who's doing this? You know, they're like, well, try to say, who's doing this? Who do we even go to?
Right.
And I think if there was that mechanism to do that, then it would at least say, okay, well, we told you, here's the 10 things that need to happen,
Yep.
and, you know, then it's in the hands of the select.
And now, as fate would have it, you're one of the guys you have to go to.
Talking to myself, I guess.
There we go. That's okay, but that's
I
how
think
this
if we
works.
do it, obviously
That's
doing it more formalized.
Exactly, and that's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
So I think we're doing good.
Okay.
So, we have a motion for the RFP for the integrity, structural integrity, but the rest of the stuff, do we want to do anything tonight, or we want to leave it as is and sort of ad hoc, have the committees tell us what they need to see happen, and then we, as a budgeting agency, in the fall, would budget for the specifics that need to be accomplished. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, and I think if someone can talk to the Historical Society, I can take it back to the Arts Council
Okay.
and say, we need to look at the town hall and what are our sore spots? And so then Pat and I and Karen and the others on the council can you know, work with that and say, okay, here's our laundry list of things we want that would be big improvements. Bring it to the town and we can budget them in for next year, or if there's some of that 20,000 left over this year, you know, then maybe some of those things can happen. Obviously structural comes first over aesthetic.
Okay, does anybody have an in with the Historical Society?
Well, Karen's on the
So,
Historical Society, it's Karen and
Let
Jeff.
me understand, are you going to be in charge then?
Of,
What you're just talking about?
I will be in charge of it not as an agent of the town, but as an agent of the Arts Council. So I will
Okay.
talk, and we will
Then-
report back to you
Okay, that's, I
as,
was trying to
as the
figure
chair,
out how
right?
that
So
was
I'm
gonna go.
speaking, I
Okay.
should go stand over there. I'm speaking as treasurer of the Arts Council.
Okay,
I'll speak for Pat, and say that we, Pat and I and others in the council who work in the town hall all summer long, putting on shows and really cleaning it, making sure that it's maintained.
I understand that,
On a
but,
low level, we will report back to the council, which is basically me and Pat. Anyway, and come up with this laundry list that we can either budget for come
Right,
fiscal
okay.
19, or we can see if there's funds this year to get some of the sore spots taken care of,
okay,
like the floor or something, you know, that's one of my pet peeves.
that's correct.
Is Pat on the Historical
So
Society?
you're still the point person for that.
Anybody else have an in with the Historical Society?
Karen Amadon is.
Well, I know, I'm talking about
Very-
us.
Well, I can go talk to
You
Karen.
want to talk to
I
Karen?
can go talk to Karen.
Okay.
And see what she has to say after that.
And I agree, and that this is, I mean, I don't think we need to have any resolutions here for the meeting, it's just kind of get it on everybody's radar screen.
Exactly. And I think it has been without necessarily a mechanism to
Yeah,
get feedback into the select board where we can make monetary decisions about doing things. Instead, they just kind of get frustrated and grumble.
All right, you will talk to Karen about getting in touch with the Historical Society to give us a list of the needed maintenance items.
I'll talk to her tomorrow.
Okay, excellent. So. Next thing, I got a letter from Rebecca Ohm talking about a committee or somebody to monitor the water feasibility study, and that she had talked, I think she talked to Chrissy, asking where the training group was. Now I put a phone call in to Chrissy Haskins, who's monitoring it for us today, and I didn't get an answer back, but I was told that she was out in the field. And since today's a good day to be out in the field, and tomorrow's not going to be one, then I thought that made sense to me. So I may hear from her tomorrow. But Rebecca's question has to do with the discussion that took place sometime before I left about having a committee monitor that. And I think the pros and cons are a single source, a group of people kind of monitoring it, versus a single source that Chrissy can get in touch with. and how we want to manage that sort of thing as a select board. Do we want her to just report back to us, contact through me, through a group, or somebody else? How would we like to see that managed?
I think a committee, I mean, has more eyes and ears, obviously, but from a communication standpoint, it probably should be one point of contact. I guess I'm a little, frustrated is not the word, but I'm kind of surprised that we're only at where we're at right now. I mean, this was voted on beginning of January, and probably by the time the dust settled, it was the middle of February, and here we are, middle of May, and I mean, I just kind of expected we would have seen something, so I don't know where that's.
Didn't they say June? I
believe
mean, I
that-
don't know if they're still on schedule with that, but.
Okay,
but
June to see if
June, they were
proposed
supposed to have,
some, okay.
questionnaires out and such by June,
Yeah.
and then, did you, I don't. I
Wasn't
thought
that
was
report supposed to come from Chrissy?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, that
Yes.
was later, I mean, they said by
Yeah.
June they would be in full.
And I suspect that
Going
she's
and-
doing her job.
Okay, I guess I wasn't, I
And,
apologize, I
so
wasn't aware of
I
that
think we,
date.
as a board, need to wait for her report.
Well, the message I left today was that I just got back and I just want to check on where things were. That's.
I think anyone, you should.
Yeah,
Every
and we'll see
other
what
week,
happens.
that's what's going on.
Let her get back.
As a townsperson in the village, I haven't seen a questionnaire
Yeah.
or had any
And I haven't seen
contact
it.
from anybody, so that was their thing, they were gonna send questionnaires out and gather information.
And I know part of the initial proposal was, when I was on the planning commission, was that the planning commission had kind of volunteered to kind of help put the surveys out and everything, and just, I mean, that could still be coming, I was just thinking it would have somewhat been moving along to the point of us maybe even seeing a proposal of the survey. I mean, I don't
Or a
think we wanna
draft or
have a draft, I don't think a survey should be going out without any one of us looking at it.
I think that's what Rebecca was alluding to, was the planning
And
commission.
maybe what goes on with that survey.
Yeah, what,
Do we wanna have some feedback there?
I'm confused. Who is in charge of this? The planning commission or
Select board,
the select board? That's my understanding.
yeah,
So everything should come through us.
yes. But Rebecca, for the planning commission, had volunteered to help Chrissy distribute, work on the distribution
Yeah.
list and help out. And that's what she was talking about. But clearly the funding and the
Decision making.
decision making goes from this board.
That's Chris, we don't have her contract. Chrissy's,
There we go.
I mean, in front of us.
No, it's
Is it
upstairs.
part of her, was she supposed to be doing that?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the time frame exactly without going up and reading the contract, but I was thinking, June, like you were, with
I thought you said
the
June.
end product is supposed to be the end of the summer.
Yeah,
So
I
it's-
Yeah, but if we
was-
hired her to do that, why should we form a committee?
Well, that's
Hey,
my
I
question.
don't really understand what this is about. Is this about Chrissy dragging her feet?
I don't know. This is a letter
Is that what
from,
we're
Well,
talking
I
about?
don't think that's, I haven't read that, so I
I
don't
think
know
she was,
if it-
it sounds to me like she would like to be involved, and she's offering the planning committee's
Yeah.
assistance.
And one of the big things, my takeaway from every single one of those presentations is we need to communicate. Everybody needs to know what's going on, and if, I'll take full blame or whatever, as a select board member, I don't even know what's going on. I mean, I trust that Tracy and that organization's doing their thing, but
Sure.
I mean, and I think maybe, I mean, I'm guessing almost that, I mean, that maybe that's what Rebecca's thinking too. I mean, can we help? I mean, can anyone?
One would argue that they should be reporting back to
Yeah.
us
Yeah,
on regular intervals of,
Yeah.
this is their status, sorry, the timeline has slipped, you know, so come, be it monthly updates, I don't know, again, what's written in the contract, if it was monthly updates, or there's nothing, no stipulation at all around that.
I'll look at it. I'll look at that tomorrow.
But
yeah,
yeah,
I
I
thought
mean,
that she had said it would take like 3 or 4 months for
Well, I
her.
think the
Yeah.
product,
Yes,
It's fine.
good product.
but the interim step, yeah.
yeah, let us know. Okay, so here's where we're at,
Can you see that?
Yeah.
we've come up with the,
But I don't
we've come
think
up with the questionnaire, we've distributed, 25% of them out, we've distributed them out to everybody, we've gotten 25%.
But my understanding is that we did not ask her for that originally.
I'll have to look at it.
And-
I don't honestly recall.
Yeah, and maybe what you're asking for is to do that now, is to ask her to report.
Has anyone from the public asked anything about what the frame group is doing? Has anyone heard anything that came and voted for this thing?
I haven't heard anything.
I haven't
I've
heard
heard
one
absolutely
citizen come up to me and ask what the hell the status is with that.
So look, I will find out before somebody asks, so we can
Yeah.
give them an answer. And I will email, one way, I can send out one
Yeah.
direction emails, to let you all know what I find out.
Well, I think that's legitimate to do that.
I will be asking her specifically regarding progress to date and an estimated timeline.
Right.
And I'll get that out to you guys tomorrow.
I'd just like to say as a select board member that I'm not saying anything derogatory about the Dufresne Group.
Great.
Or, because I don't have the contract in front of me, I didn't memorize it when we, signed it. And where they're supposed to be at or anything, but to be honest with you, it's totally slipped my mind.
Yeah, that's
It's
kind of
going
what I
on.
came from too, I just hadn't heard anything. And again, same as, I agree with Andy, it's like I'm not criticizing anything, I was just curious.
Well, we'll just check.
Now, if someone had come up to me like they do about a number of other things, then I would go look and say, but I gotta be honest with you, that it hasn't seemed to be a real, I haven't heard anything about it tonight.
Okay, well, we'll check with her, and then when I get back to her, probably if it's gonna rain tomorrow, she'll be in the field and go here for her. And then we'll find out. Well, I'll try to get something to you as soon as I can.
I'd like to take a look at the agreement again.
I'll go upstairs. Alrighty then. Let's see. That one. You wanted to say something about email?
Email, so, we've talked about getting email, branded email. I proposed some dollar amounts, it was about $500 for 3 years. For some reason, we're not getting traction. I mean, we should, if we're gonna move forward with getting these email addresses that are separate, we should make a decision, we're gonna move forward with it or not. Paul and I had a conversation a little bit before the meeting about potentially just utilizing the SV cable addresses, and we would just assign one of those. It's free, because I think we get 10 addresses with the SV cable contract. I've contacted them and they have not responded to my inquiries about if we can specify the JamaicaVermont.org email instead of saying SV cable. So, obviously that's a free solution, we could do that quickly, and we could basically then kick the can down the road until next year and put money in the budget for real email addresses, but then, we're changing email addresses this year and then changing email addresses next year. So, I believe my quote was about $500, $514 for 3 years if we went with the GoDaddy. I did some more research around Google Mail and such and other systems online today and earlier in the week, and it's all about the same. It's about $5 a month, that's what you pay. The GoDaddy had the special, which was $2 a month, which was cheaper. That's why I looked at that, but you have to sign, you sign a 2 or 3 year contract on that, so you can lock in that dollar amount. Greg and I were the ones who brought this up, because we wanted to professionalize things, and I think, again, it is the best practice to have an email address that has, it says JamaicaVermont.org on it, because that's...
Are you asking, is the hope that SV, so we get an address from that provider, SV Cable?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that much about it, but how could they drop their company name?
They can do that.
They do that?
They could.
They just.
I don't know. They basically, you buy a domain and you point your domain to their servers, and then they set that up.
Yeah.
So they
Like Gmail can do that. You can get a Gmail account for $5 a month per account. I could get one that's tomtolbert.com or whatever, and I could go to them and pay $5 a month, register that domain name, and then have an email that was, under that, or however many I wanted. But again, $5 a month, we said there were, I think, 9 accounts that we wanted to get. It's expensive.
So back to the SV Cable, do we mind if it says whatever your idea is about town of Jamaica, SV Cable, no?
That's the question for us to
Okay.
answer. That's not something, that's what we're bringing up. It's not meeting the need that we had talked about saying being JamaicaVermont.org.
.org, okay.
Yeah, so we're branded then, Paul Frazier at JamaicaVermont.org, Andy Coyne at JamaicaVermont.org, and have people have accounts. We said we'd get one for Keith, we'd get one for the listers,
No?
and we'd get one for town clerk, and we'd get one for treasurer. So those are 4 plus the 5 of us, so that's 9.
Or, and the flip side that we talked about is if we go with SV cable, the way we have now, that's free, and we could make it, you know, Paul.Fraser@SV cable, just like all the rest of them. Or, in theory, Jamaica Paul at.
Something like that.
There's different ways of phrasing that to get the word Jamaica.
That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah.
The
I don't-
SV cable thing needs to be dropped, that might not be, that's probably why they're not calling me back, but
You know, and he's been really good, I will say, I've worked with him in the past,
No,
he's
I
been
know.
great at getting back with me, and for some reason, I've sent 2 or 3 emails and he's just not responded for whatever reason.
And that wouldn't require dropping SV cable, that would just, it would change what was in front of the @ sign from Vermont, I mean, it could be Jamaica Paul at.
I have a Gmail account for my business.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It just has my company name at Gmail.
Right.
Well, same idea.
So that's the same idea, or you could
And
I don't
say,
think I pay for that, but.
you don't, but if you wanted to get your own domain, then you do have to pay for that. That's
Like
all.
I get one I have Greg at VT Sports, which comes in through my Gmail account, but it says at VT Sports.
And you pay for that.
Well, luckily my company, Vermont Sports Magazine,
Okay,
pays
right,
for it.
yeah.
But it goes through their server first and then gets
Gotcha.
directed back out to me. So sometimes there's, you know, half a minute extra delay on it, so to speak. But it does, from a professional standpoint, it's got that out there, same with us, Jamaica. But also on the legal side, I mean, not that we should worry too much, or hopefully we won't have to, but I mean, if there's any legal issues and somehow one of us is involved from any of these lawsuits coming up, now they all have the right to go into your personal account.
Oh, we know that.
And that's why we're trying to get separate accounts. I think the question, it's not a question if we're gonna get separate accounts. The question is, are we gonna brand them or not? If we brand them, then we're gonna have to pay.
And here's a question, if in fact you brand them so that you have Tom Tolbert at JamaicaVermont.org,
Yes.
what happens if Tom Tolbert doesn't run next March?
Then that account goes away.
So do we buy a new one?
Yeah,
Or
right.
so
You just
it's
cancel
not-
that account and you change the name on the account to whoever.
That's easy to
does it.
do.
Yeah, most definitely.
I believe SV cable is run through Gmail.
It is run through Gmail, that's why I think it would work, but again, I need verification from them. He does.
I should say through Google, not through
He
Gmail.
runs from, he does run that through Google,
Right.
you're right, and that's why, he may just be doing that though, so he may brand it to SB Cable,
Right.
and that's how they do it, so you can't then rebrand it on top of that. Then, I don't know, I don't know if they allow that. That was my question, yeah. Will you allow us to do this?
I'm surprised he can get back.
I'm very surprised. Did
I
you know
know,
he's
yeah,
great?
yeah.
I mean, he's great. He's
There
great.
is the internet aspect of SV cable. There's an 800 number for that.
I can call them, yeah, I mean, if we wanna kick this for 2 weeks to the next meeting, at least if we're thinking about it, I think, but again, we wanna get these new addresses. And we've been in here for 2 months with the board as it is now, and we haven't acted on it, so it's, you know.
You also want to make sure that if they come after your email here, that they can't extend that to go to your private email.
Correct, that's part of the reason we're doing this. Best practice, it's the best practice, so.
I think it actually makes our life a little easier too. I know it's difficult checking 2 email addresses, but if you know all your Jamaica stuff's right there and you lost something, or you only look at it once a day, or I'm not dealing with that till next week's meeting or whatever, I mean, you don't have it all garbled in.
I guess I'm deferring, I mean, it's not my decision, it's
No,
the board's decision, so we have to make a
I'm throwing that out there as
decision
another-
that we want to either put a motion
I
up, that we
think
want
we
to
defer.
allocate funds, or we don't want to,
Well,
that's
we
what it
can-
comes down to, or we can kick the can down the road for 2 weeks.
Or we can do it quick and dirty by going to,
If you make
Something
that,
right
yeah.
now. That would accomplish the security piece of it without the branding piece.
I think the branding piece is important, that's my
Yeah,
opinion.
exactly. And if it's 2 weeks, I think kick the can.
And maybe in 2 weeks, we still have to vote on allocating funds for that,
Or
if
not.
I can't find a way, or not, and we say we don't want to
Or
do
if
it.
you have gotten hold of SV cable, which I thought it's 50/50, I get their secretary, have you talked to her?
I have not. I'll call him tomorrow. I'll call Ernie back tomorrow. I've been emailing him, just trying to get documentation, that's all, so I can call him.
Probably is.
He's a busy guy.
Internet doesn't work.
He is.
There's been storms, I'm not making excuses, but he's
Yeah.
a hustler, I meet him on the road at 9 o'clock at night, he's just getting home.
Yeah.
But, no
Yeah, I'll
excuse
try
for
to
not
call
calling
him
him
again, and it
back.
may just fall through the cracks, you know, and so I can also call the tech support people and ask them. And that may be a quick yes or no.
They're easy, they're easy. to
Yeah.
get hold of.
All right, so what
I will commit to do that,
and then next.
research that, and if the answer is no from them,
Right.
then in 2 weeks, we need to make a decision if we're just gonna brand with SD Cable, or if we're gonna brand with this, with GoDaddy or whoever else. I will continue to look for cheaper options, but the GoDaddy at about $99 a month was the cheapest we're gonna find. No one's gonna be cheaper
Are
than
you
that.
calling it 297 number?
I
Yeah, I think it's-
297-0000, right?
No, I have 2179, but they had another number, 800-544-5931. I had a lot of trouble getting through to him at the 297 number.
Okay, I've called the 297 before.
Yeah.
I'll try again, I'll try.
All right, then, so this is on the agenda for next
Yes.
Thursday, next Thursday, next select board. Alrighty then,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
let me check, just
Okay.
wanted to make sure I got everything covered here.
Looking over your shoulder. so-
Check everything off here as we go through here. Yeah, it's not like I was all that tuned in before I went on vacation, but now it's even worse. Go.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of adjourning at 21 minutes after, oh, it was 2021. Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned at 21:20. 2021, 8 o'clock.